Abandoned, forgotten, and lost to time LS projects. Um, in the past, probably around 1920, 1700 to 1900, somewhere around there. It's an all but forgotten LS project that we like to call the Iron Giant. Yes, it was real. Basically a robot, hydraulically powered robot, pretty much. Anyway, it looked pretty much, it looked kind of like a man, but not really. I forget. I mean, I wish I could get the pictures of it. Basically, it was a robot, and it would walk and everything else like that. And what it used was super high performance, about 6 gasoline engines, basically. I believe it was gasoline and not actually. It might have been diesel fuel. We might have used actually diesel fuel, but anyway, it uses 6 small engines and about like kind of like a motorcycle engine or something like that. All aluminum engine. It was somewhere. I actually think it might have been in the city of Cosmos or Kronos, probably somewhere in Russia. I'm thinking somewhere in Russia it was where this thing was housed. There were like 6 of them, or 3 of them anyway. They used small gasoline-powered engines, I believe, and also hydraulic pumps to actually actuate the actual legs and everything else like that. And they had depleted uranium rounds, and the thermite depleted uranium, by the way, not the normal rounds. Yes, I mean they're basically like last resort weapon. It was a last resort weapon or whatever. Well, it had a couple different ammo loads, and they actually did use it and test them. There were about 6 or 8 of them that were actually built, including one fairly large one that I believe used like I forget if it used. I think it might have used some 2-cylinder power plants or whatever. You know, like one piston V power plants. We were doing a lot of V power plants back then and stuff like that, using engines kind of like basically like power packs. You know, you just plug the engine in. You know, the engine just has a shaft, whatever, and then you plug it in, and basically it's like a pump and everything. I forget the actual design of it. You would have to look inside of the Germany records. When people started digging into Germany and started digging into Russia, the things that they would find, ooh yeah, LS, Lucifer Star, by the way, and yes, I had it all. You name it, I had it. Yes, we had robots, basically hydraulically powered, actuated robots, I believe, or they might have. I don't think it was pneumatic. The hydraulics couldn't really get that much power. It needed to be pneumatic. They didn't walk very fast. That was the problem. Was they're really slow. They really needed to be pneumatic, but we couldn't supply that much air to them. So anyway, they were even working on some steam ones, but the steam didn't work out. It was kind of like one of those projects that they were just kind of messing around with, and it really wasn't going anywhere with the steam power. Eventually, we went ahead and we got them the all aluminum engines, and basically because they needed to be lighter. Although the weight really wasn't really that big of an issue, but I forget exactly what the deal was with it. But yeah. That's where basically the V engine kind of came into play. Basically, one piston here, and then and it was and then 2 pistons and then a shaft, and basically using they're basically like staged engines or whatever, where it's just like an engine and then or you can have 2 engine packs. We started designing like these engines where it's basically 2 cylinders and 2 cylinders and 2 cylinders, and you could stack them together if you wanted. You could have a stack of 6 of these little puppies, and you'd have a V12 engine, or you could just have 2 cylinders. They were really cute, actually. They're these little like engine packs that we started mass producing and manufacturing, where they actually bolted together. You could just bolt them together, and they would fit together basically. So one would go into the other one, go into the other one, go into the other one, and they're like little engine packs basically. Kind of like that. Just 2 cylinders, and a carburetor. 2 cylinders and a carburetor, Anyway, though, but my robot, it was a crazy project that we invested like $500 or $1,000 into. But we're talking about like back in the old days, and I forget what kind of metal it used, if it used titanium or not. I think it just used normal, like, high-grade steel or something like that. Basically, it was a real robot. Yeah! And it used, and it had these ammo packs where it could shoot depleted uranium rounds. The thermite kind. The kind that you're not supposed to use. Yeah! LSL shells. S shells. Rounds. LS rounds, basically. Yeah, the kind that leave permanent ecological damage. Yes, it did have a pack. It had twin packs for those puppies. It was decided that it was actually safe to have them on it, basically, because they're so far away from the driver. The driver sits in the middle, and then you have these arms, and basically they could shoot, cannon-sized arms, and all that kind of stuff. Basically, twin recoilless rifles or because it had to kind of like get a stance to actually shoot. But yeah, it actually did work rather well, and they used these little power pack engine packs where you go, and you would actuate the engines would idle down, and then when you went to move the leg, they would rev up, and they go, and using the control, basically, I forget, it's like a 2-part control or something like that. Anyway, though, yeah, it's really cool though. LS, Lucifer Star, yes. Yes, I had robots. I believe in Cosmos or something. Some Chinese were working on it, basically. Anyway, yeah, I think one of them, somebody pissed off the owner or something like that, so he grabbed one and he went for it. I think they did eventually kill him, but I don't really know. I mean, he took down a because it has the depleted uranium rounds. I mean, it's a military grade hardware, man. What do you expect? Anyway, but yeah. Anyway, there are 6 of them or 8 of them, basically. And I guess I don't really know what happened to them exactly. I mean, they should be in a museum somewhere, actually, considering. I mean, they were built in like the 1700 or 1800. Look in China or Germany or Russia, basically, for the evidence of it. I believe it was in Cosmos City. It was in one of these high-tech cities. I had these high-tech cities where you could do basically pretty much whatever you wanted. And so we built about 8 of these puppies, or so. It was back in the day when I was just funding projects I didn't really care anymore. I was just like, well, let's see what we can do. So they built these puppies, and like I said, what they employed is these little V engines, 2-cylinder engines, and you could stack them together, depending on how much power you wanted. So if you needed if you could get away with just 2 cylinders, that would fine, and if you needed like 4 cylinders, you could do 4 cylinders. I'm losing power. I'm losing power. It's gonna die on me. Anyway, electric motors wouldn't be able to put out as much power as these little all aluminum cylinder engines, little 2-cylinder V engines. And we also had some single cylinder, but the single cylinder didn't work well. I mean, the V engine worked the best. Anyway, though, and you could just plug these things into the different points where it was an oil pump, and basically using, I forget how exactly it worked. It had to be balanced, though. It was the hard part was getting the speed out of the robot, or the speed out of the suit. So it would, yes, but we had it. Using twin recoilless rifles on its arms, it could go. Anyway, but yeah, and using these little gas power plants, it would go. Anyway, it was a little noisy though. That was a problem. We had to work on the. It was really, really loud. I mean, you could hear it coming from a mile away or something like that. And it had a limited gas tank on the back, but it worked. And yeah. Anyway, but yeah, LS Lucifer Star. I had it. I think it was in Russia, actually. That most of this. I mean, most of this stuff was like in Russia or Germany or something like that. It was my super weapon. It wasn't really. I mean, it was just a project I had going, and yeah, it did use the LS LS rounds, or it could use them. So we did have those things. So if it, because it wasn't all that accurate, and basically it wasn't all that tough, you could easily take it out. If it actually went up against a tank, it would get taken out. I mean, it didn't have that much armor because we didn't have a big fuel tank on the back, and shoot almost anywhere and you damage it, beyond repair or whatever. So armoring it, against shots was hard.